All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Coach TK. And what we're doing today is we're going through a hip mobility and strengthening workout. Really, I'm going to demonstrate some things. But before we demonstrate, I'm going to educate. So I have my phone here because it has my notes in this cool article. So I filmed this video specifically for the Living Unfiltered Collective for the Saved Summer Sex series, right? It's all things being saved in sexuality, right? All the things that people want to talk about or ask about or know about, and churches are not talking about it, right? We created a space for that to happen. It's called the Saved Summer Sex series. So this video is actually for them specifically, but it's open now to everyone. Okay, so real quick before we get into the demonstration of the moves, I want to explain something. Human beings were not designed to sit for extended periods of time. We are meant to be upright so that gravity or resistance is acting upon us in our proper alignment and posture. Okay, so what happens is, because of culture, because of society, we are often in forward head, forward shoulder, rounded back, flexed hips, right? We're often in these positions that are not our proper posture, and certainly not proper spinal alignment and stacking of our body and our kinetic chain. Okay, so it causes weakness, it causes injuries over time. So I wanted to read this brief section of this article that I love. It's called The Science of Sitting. I'm going to read this small portion, so if you want to skip past this little intro and educational piece, then you want to go forward maybe to the 4 or 5 minute mark when the moves begin. But I'm going to read this real quick. So the root of our problem lies in the fact that seems counterintuitive. The human body is not made to sit for extended periods of time. We are designed to be upright, walking, running, and on the move. Sitting and standing still for extended periods of time are actually detrimental to our health. The anatomy of sitting. So how does sitting cause back pain or other things, right? The effects are multifaceted. Sitting in a typical slumped posture, it stretches your ligaments and muscles that extend the back, which weakens them over time. The stretched position causes for your back extensor muscles to be chronically active, meaning that for a long period of time, they are active. What happens to things that end up being used for long periods of time? If they are not endurance type muscles or endurance type things, you wear them down, you break them down. All right, so I'm going to keep going. This low-level activity can cause a decrease in circulation to the working muscles, resulting in pain and spasms. These muscle pains and spasms may be exacerbated by stress. One of the most common responses to stress is muscle tension, especially in the areas where the body is the weakest. Because of sedentary lifestyles, right? Because we're a very digital and high technologically advanced society here in America. A lot of us are sitting for long periods of time or at screens for long periods of time. Because of this, lower back muscles have become some of the weakest areas of the body. Now, the thing about the lower back muscles being the weakest is that your lower core supports that. So really, not just your lower back, your core ends up being weak and lacking mobility and flexibility. All right, so when we sit in poor posture, typically we're transferring the entire, now let me change into poor posture, right? So how I was sitting was crisscross like this, right? I'm leaned forward a bit, but typically we're like this, right? So what I just did, I'm going to read to you what I just did. Okay. When we sit, we are transferring the weight of the upper body onto our butt and thighs. You see that right now. The skin and the muscles flatten out, and the bony structure of the buttocks, one of the bones, the ischium, it pushes into the soft tissue, right? So the fat and the muscle tissue that are in contact with that bone, they slowly move out of the way from the bone, leaving the skin as the last barrier before the chair. What happens is, as the shift happens, the pressure is increased because there is a reduced amount of tissue to disperse the weight. All right. The remaining tissue, which is mostly the skin, it sustains pressure high enough to then reduce blood flow. This is why a lot of us have what they call cottage cheese thighs and butts, or our butts are flat. Because there's a lack of blood flow to keep the tissue plump and firm and healthy. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so the longer you sit, the more tissue moves away from the bony structures, which causes an increase in pressure on the remaining tissue. The first noticeable symptom of this increased pressure can be burning sensations, or like things going numb over a period of time, being uncomfortable, right? If the person remains sitting, burning increases until they move or the skin begins to die. And when the skin dies, it is referred to as decubitus ulcers or pressure sores. Now, you primarily hear about this with like older people in nursing homes who maybe have had an injury or an illness, and now they are laying or sitting in a wheelchair, laying on a bed, and they need to be rotated so that the pressure that's on their body does not cause that area, the skin or the bone, to break down. Okay, that's when you primarily hear that. But the fact of the matter is, we're doing that to ourselves every day because we're constantly sitting for extended periods of time. Again, we are not designed to do that. So what do we do about it? One, welcome to my basement gym. I'm going to show you how to sit properly. So the cool thing about God is that He's extremely intelligent. He knows what He's doing. He specifically designed every single thing. Okay. And one of the things that He did is, if you look at bone and bone anatomy, you'll notice there are these curves and lines and chunks of pieces. Every single facet of a bone has a purpose. Okay. And so one facet of a bone that we're going to talk about is the ischial tuberosity. It is a nice chunk on the hip bone that is meant to bear the weight of you sitting. It's down here. Okay. That's what's supposed to be bearing your weight. So let's talk about how to properly disperse this. I'm going to show you ways to properly sit. All right. So let me turn to the side. Okay. So one of the ways that you just saw me doing was crisscross, right? We call it crisscross applesauce. So what you want to do is, in this position, you want to tighten your core, right? So that you shift your pelvis back, and you're going to lean forward so that your spine is in proper alignment, and you put the weight on your ischial tuberosity. That's the first way. Here's another way. How you properly sit. Legs out, knees and toes up. And again, you're going to lean slightly forward, and you're going to tuck. So think about like your abs doing a scoop, like your belly button's trying to go backwards. Okay, that's going to engage the things that need to be engaged. You're going to lean slightly forward. This is putting your spine in proper alignment and puts the weight on your ischial tuberosity. Okay, another thing you're going to do, another way to properly sit, is feet are flat, lean, and just sit erect. Okay. Chest up, shoulders back. Just gonna put your spine again into proper alignment. Pretty cool, right? Okay. Next thing you can do to sit properly is a half knee, half up. I'm trying to think of the way I should do. Okay. So you could do like this. So halfway. Right? And again, it's leaning you so that your weight is distributed properly. You can sit in the 90-90. So we're actually going to get into this, but you're going to put one leg in 90 degrees and then the other leg in 90 degrees, and you can sit like this. And again, ab scoop, spine in proper alignment. All right. And then this one, it might be uncomfortable for some, but on your knees and sit back. Ab scoop and erect spine. And this again would be another proper way to sit. So that way we are maintaining our mobility, I guess. Okay, so if any of those positions are hard, you can take a pillow or like something, right? So for example, if this was hard, then you would put something like this under you to give you a little leverage and make it feel more comfortable. If any of those things were hard, you can do that. So I'll put it under me in this position, right? Okay. So if any of those positions were hard, you can put something under you to give you some leverage. Now, let's get into the mobility and strengthening. So the thing that you should understand is that your hip performs particular actions, and to strengthen the muscles that perform these actions, you would put resistance against that action. So for example, your hip does what's called flexion. So right now I'm in flexion, where I'm bent, I'm not extended, I'm flexed. Okay, you have hip flexors, they do hip flexion, right? One way that you can mobilize and strengthen is to sit in this position, okay? And you're gonna raise your leg in and out. Okay, that is one way to perform some hip strengthening and mobility. Another action that your hips perform is extension. Now you've seen this for girls who are like trying to grow a booty, but this is an action that your hip performs all the time when it's trying to hold you upright when you're standing. It's called hip extension. Okay, and what you do is this easy way on the floor is you lay, do your ab scoop. Okay, so you have now tucked your pelvis back, engage your glutes, and you're gonna push your hips up into extension, a glute bridge or a hip extension. But that is a way that you can mobilize and strengthen. Okay. All right. Another way that your hip acts is with internal and external rotation. So we're going to do this. We're going to sit. Okay. And what you're going to do in this position, so I'm on my heels, I'm leaned back slightly. What you're going to do in this position is stay facing forward, and you're going to try to drop your knee down as far as it'll go. That is internal rotation. Okay, so I'm going to drop my knee. I'm not twisting. Drop my knee as far as it'll go. That's internal rotation. External rotation. Ready? That 90-90 position we sat in. So right now my front side for you is in external rotation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chest to the middle. I'm just going to lean forward to the middle of my leg to put my hip more and more into external rotation. Okay? And I can switch sides and do the same thing. Now, if you want to add a challenge for strengthening purposes, get into the 90-90 position, and what you're going to do is try to lift that front knee up as high as it will go without you twisting. Okay? That is me activating external rotation of this hip as well while I'm in it here. Okay? Then for increasing challenge, for strength is I'm going to try to pick my heel up. And you will feel your muscles that support your hips, right? Glutes, back. You'll feel them tighten up. Okay. Another one for mobility is that same 90-90 position. You can just work yourself through it. Work yourself through it. Moving. This is called mobility, right? You're moving yourself through a range of motion. Okay, and then one more that I'll show you. So we're gonna take our hip through the full range of motion. So we'll do like a hip circle, okay? We're gonna go out and then in, but you would go like this. Take it through a full range of motion, and then you can go the opposite way, right? But all of those things, if you want to do them for mobility, take time doing each movement for 30 seconds and just continuously do the movement. If you want to perform them for strength, so for example, those leg lifts we were doing, what you can do is 3 sets of 10 reps. So that was 1, 2, right? So do 10 times and then repeat 2 more times. So 3 sets of 10 reps. That is how you could perform that for strengthening. I hope that this video was helpful. And if you should want more physical therapy, fitness, wellness, information or help, if you want like a full do the workout with me type of routine, then just leave me a comment or check out some of the other videos that'll pop up on the screen. But I'm Coach TK from Train Your Temple, and I'll see you next time.